Okay, let's move on to do the morning course or the part A course, and then we'll do the part B course. So this is extremely, I would say, valuable and important because without this part of the course, where does the money come from? Like, it's all fine and good to say you're good at categories and you're good at this and that, but do you have someone in front of you to sell it to and to do it with? So that's why this part of the course matters so much. This is the motivational discovery call. So it's a continuity from the last 2 days because without motivation, there's no point in holding a discovery call. Nobody's going to buy anything if they're not motivated to buy it. So the only way to get people to pay you is to be sure they're sufficiently motivated. So this is how the motivational discovery call works. You guys recognize these little green balls? What are those representing?
Change,
Yeah, but also
solution.
solutions, resources. Exactly. So that's the problem is for the client, they're outside of their little head. When they call you, they're stuck in this problem. When they call you, they're in this shell. They don't know how to get out of it. What is happening on this motivational discovery call is you're starting to break open what has been closed for them for so long, which is, hey, there's another choice that you hadn't considered yet, which is the hypnotic choice. And inside the hypnotic choice, there's going to be a lot of opportunity, and I'm going to tell you about it on the discovery call. So we're taking them from here to here. This is important therapeutically. Why?
Because it sets up the hypnotic interview and gives them the like, what's the problem? Oh, they're open to the like, yeah, what's the problem? Because I know now there's pieces out there.
And what's crazy about that, Jody, this is extremely interesting and important. It took me a long time to really understand this is if the problem is there, so is the solution. They
Mm-hmm.
go hand in hand, right? So if the person comes in front of you at the discovery call with their problem, somewhere behind that in their subconscious are these green balls. And so it doesn't matter if I know what they are, or if they know what they are, or if anybody ever gets to enunciate what they are. What matters is the act of coming to the discovery call is bringing these somewhere into the field. That's a really far out concept. Really consider how weird it is. It's all invisible. Okay, we're making like gross claims about gross meaning large claims about the field and how it works. Well, I am anyway. And what I'm saying is when these come on the scene is how I think about them. I read that in a book somewhere years ago and it always stayed with me. When they come on the scene, then the subconscious at least gazes at them. Some clients look at them and are like, oh, I feel a change. I would say 30% of my clients are like, something's happening. Are you doing something? Like immediately, they're like, something's happening. I feel something. And they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. Nothing's happening. So though that 30%, because I'm not actually hypnotizing them on the discovery call because I don't think that's ethical exactly. But what's happening? Why are they saying something is going on? I feel different. Why is it that people show up to my first session and are like, I don't know, I started to feel different right away? Not because of me, I mean, partly because of my good priming, but really because these green balls appeared in their field and they don't get why. Well, why did they appear? Because the problem appeared in focus. So the motivational discovery call has everything to do with using the motivational conversation, not to solve anything, because that would be dumb, because then you wouldn't make any money, but to create this opening and this possibility. How are we going to do that? That's the conversation we're going to have now. Hey, does this look familiar? Anybody?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So, what do you see here? What does this have to do with the discovery call? I mean, I couldn't make it any simpler, right? It's the exact, literally same concept that you just used to solve problems, but now you're going to use it to sell. And by the way, let's not bullshit. Discovery call means sales call. I have all these coaches and people out here being like, never sell anything, never. Like, no, that's the point of the call. The call is to collect cash. The call is not to make friends, interview people. Yes, the call is also to discriminate against people who are not qualified to work with you. I do think that safety is important. But at the end of the day, it's a sales call. Why would we use the same categories to do a sales call as we do to get people through their problems? What is the point of this?
Well, it helps you identify where they are so you can motivate them out of it or cross the bridge.
Okay, so
Show them, give them an experience.
are we going to motivate them out of it on the call?
No,
So what's the difference then?
it's subtler.
Yeah, it's subtler. It's a place to go, but without untying any knots.
It's an imagine if.
Right.
Can you,
Exactly.
can you, what would it be like? What would happen?
Even that, I'm very careful about because if you do too much of let's dream it up, their subconscious will take over and fix it. So even that, I'm very weary of. But yes, that's the right idea. The idea is whatever they say back to you, whatever you hear from them, don't untie. That's only for sessions. So we're leaving level one. This is another reason it's good to have them separated out so you know which one to do on the discovery call. Don't untie any knots. You will have the instinct to do it because some of them are so obvious and easy. But if you do that, there's two problems. A, I didn't make any money. B, it's not responsible. It is very irresponsible to help people through text, Melanie, through
Mhm.
discovery call because that's not really very serious. And if there are any side effects or abreactions, who's there to help them? Nobody. That's not responsible. You cannot
And they
do that.
haven't given you consent.
Exactly. It's
Until
not
they sign that contract,
exactly.
there's no consent.
And that is very important because an integration process is implied in my job. I don't know if it is in your protocol, but it is in mine. And that matters to me. I do want to hear a follow-up. I do want people to know they can call me if they have any issues. I do want people to let me know if everything goes to shit and they need more help. But if they didn't buy anything, you have no relationship with them. So it's not okay to solve problems on the call. It's not even okay to hint at what the solutions are. But what you can do is use the categories to get people excited. So if you hear past results, you want to open them to choice without solving it. If you hear stuff that's confused, you want to ask them something about how to get to clarity, but without solving it. I'm going to put that into more context in a minute, but I just want you to see the like overarching idea. So the categories are the same for neighborhood orientation. You guys remember this? It's also a slide from yesterday or the
Mhm.
day before. Same concept. Discovery call. Detach from sales, detach from, I don't mean detach from sales because I want you to sell, but what I mean is be human on that call. Don't be the robotic, like, and this is my product and this is what it's going to cost and this is what's going to happen. That therapy monster doesn't do well connecting to people. So you have to be human on this call. Oh, hi, it's nice to meet you. The human version of yourself, the non-judgmental version of yourself, the lowered resistance version of yourself who's curious. Same idea as a regular call, extend unconscious moments. You see one, ask them what they're feeling. Don't resolve it, but ask them to investigate it further. When they're expressing their pain, investigate their pain, obviously, because you want to heighten that. Columbo approach works well in a discovery call too. Oh, I don't know about that because I just met you, so tell me more of what you mean. Oh, that's interesting. Can you explain that further? Oh, I've never heard that one before. What do you mean by that? Anything kind of casual, and I'm lying some of the time. Like, of course I've heard some of those before, but I want them to feel like I really heard them. Hypnotic monologue. So all the same characteristics of a session, but attenuated for a non-solution based 30 or 40 minutes. Mine take about 40, 45 minutes now. They used to take an hour. This is the structure of that call. This is an important slide. We're going to spend a minute on it. The red line is what people start with on the strategy call. So this is an important point on strategy calls. Only talk when you hear an objection. Only talk when you hear a not. Be quiet the rest of the time because the client is revealing themselves to you and why they came. So this is a lower involvement type of call because it's more about listening so that you can really understand the client's purpose. The only time I take extensive notes in my practice is now on this call. I know, Jody, because I taught you to. And the reason is because verbatim what they said is important. Not, oh, I want to lose weight to feel better. If they said, I want to lose 15 pounds to wear this dress at a wedding, write those words down. The dress is purple with green dashes, whatever. Write all that down because that's exactly what they're asking you for. They're being very specific in that moment. Write all that down. Write down anything they say that's personal. Write down names. Write down data. Everything because you're going to have to feed that back to them. And if you forget, you're the one who's losing money. So I take extensive notes here. And while I'm taking notes, I'm listening. I'm really listening. I'm still doing all my EVP. I'm still looking. I'm still connecting. But I tell them, hey, I'm going to take some notes right now. I'm still listening to you. Then I only talk when they reveal a problem. This is why this isn't going to work. This is why I'm not a good candidate. This is why I'm not sure about that. Oh, that sounds expensive. All of those are when I use my motivation back and ask something back. When you hear those knots, don't solve. You have two choices, maybe three choices. One is here. They say, well, I've had this problem for 40 years. What are the chances that I could really get over it? And you say, that's funny, you should say that because just 2 weeks ago, I had a client who had a very similar problem, but she had had it for 30 years, not 20 years. And this is what happened to her. And not only is that what happened to her, but also I saw, a post from her recently and she was doing X and Y, which was so much more than she had asked for. So I'm giving a little anecdote there when I hear the not. That's motivational. So I'm sharing my past experiences and my past clients for the purpose of motivating the potential customer. Let's do another example of those. What do people say on the calls that are objections, that are classic objections?
I've tried everything and nothing works.
Right. So then give a past client anecdote from your practice, Jody.
Oh, you want me to give one?
Yeah.
So
Some,
I had a woman say to me, I've tried everything and nothing works. And I said, okay, so, and I could say, so I had a client a couple weeks ago, and this is actually true. I had a client a couple weeks ago who has tried Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig and hypnosis, or not hypnosis. What else has she tried?
EMDR, EMDR,
She tried
CBT.
it. Yeah, she tried all of that. And she is now down 5 pounds
Yep.
and not eating sugar. The food noise at night is gone.
Yep.
She's like
Yep.
she's
And you
not
say,
snacking.
yep, and she just texted me this and that happened, and this is what she's feeling. And guess how many sessions I had with her? And then you just give it back to the client. Guess how quick we
Yep,
did that?
2 sessions.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you see how we're playing a little repartee where I'm like, and it was so crazy. And this is what happened to her. And the really, really weird thing was it only took me 2 visits. And that's how she got her results. You see how casual I'm just saying, like, hey, let me tell you a story about yourself. And this is also why it's like, I'm not going to listen to you guys tell me you don't have enough reviews and experiences because that's the whole reason to go ahead and try and practice because now you have a selection of stories to tell. If you never go out there and do it, then there never going to be any anecdotes. So past clients is one way to motivate your potential customers. Another way is this way, to educate them. So if you've already taken my discovery call class, which some of you have, you see that there's a whole educational component in it where I'm talking about the mind, where I'm talking about plasticity, where I'm talking about synaptic, function, where I'm talking about the nervous system. Well, why am I doing that? I'm building credibility. I'm encountering their objection with information. That's motivational as well. It's not untying the knot. It's not doing any problem solving, but it's helping their subconscious to open up to, oh, maybe there's another way. Oh, maybe there's something I hadn't considered yet. That's where we come really into abnormal thinking. So, do I overly educate? No, because they don't really care about all the details. They just want to talk about themselves. That's the truth. But do I think this has a place? I definitely think it has a place. Also in creating consent, also in minimizing the questions they ask you when they hang up from that call. So, past clients and education are your motivational tools in the context of the categories. Your experience also. It's the same thing as past clients. Well, kind of. So this is what happens. Client comes in, problem, 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 problem. It's sucking. My life is over. I hate myself. Everything sucks. Okay, let me tell you about one of my past clients. Okay, I'm still stuck. I still don't like this conversation. I'm still not happy. Okay, let me give you some experience. Okay, but it's still not going to work. I don't believe in hypnosis. Okay, education. And maybe you circulate around this 8 times. Maybe it's 3 times. Maybe it's 15 times. If it's 20 or 40 times, they're not a good candidate. Get rid of them. Like I can tell sometimes this is not going anywhere, and then I'm just like, okay, let's stop. I'd say 10% of my calls are like that, maybe 5 at this point. But so this is not a bad thing. This is just saying, hey, you got to come to work today and get this person unstuck from this. Don't unstick them so much that they don't need you after that. What you want is for them to leave that call thinking like that person knows what they're talking about and probably can get me out of this. And I can't think of another way to do it. That's what you want, is for them to be like, oh, that was a weird conversation. It's not like all the other interviews I've done. Sometimes
Can you
people,
give an
Mm.
sorry, can you give an example of how a past client story is different than an experience? Whatever. Like how like I understand past clients and I understand education. When you highlighted experience, how do you like what would that sound like? I guess that's what I'm asking.
I think that's more of like, it's a good question. Actually, when I was just looking at this graph, I was thinking maybe I want to just take that out and collapse these into 2. But I mean, I think experience is kind of like a collection of past clients or a collection of clinical trials. So you have a lot to say on this question because, you've seen these problems from every angle.
Yeah.
So
And
that's exactly what you would say is, well, over 20 years, I've seen that from lots of perspectives, not all of which I've heard you talk about today. And maybe you want to say more about it. Maybe you want to just talk about your experience in general. But I
okay.
mean, the idea here is everything that you say on that call is not untying, is not hypothetical invest or um, interview, it's not a hypnotic interview, but it's more like motivational sharing, whether it's from your clinic, whether it's from your client base, whether it's your MOS list, whether it's education about the mind. So everything in that call is oriented towards motivation and filling gaps, which allow the subconscious to latch onto something other than the problem. And that's why it's actually not as hard as it looks because the subconscious is super smart, right? As long as you open a little, pathway, like even 2% angle, it's enough to let the light in where they're like, oh, I feel my subconscious is doing something. And that feeling is provocative to them. And if you can do it even a little more, some people open all the way up. I'm getting good at like getting the whole clamshell to open then so that when I come to the session, they're like, and I just blow on them kind of and they're done. That's how I see it now, is like what I want is for them to be right on the edge of the cliff at the discovery call, like so excited. Like, I can't wait. When's your next opening? That's what I want, is for people to be like, okay, how soon can I book in? That's really cool. And then during those days that they're waiting for it, their mind is like, then they come in and I'm like, and they're like, oh, how did you do that? That's the idea, right? And I mean, I'm exaggerating, obviously. You guys know I work harder than that, but that's the whole idea, is like they're right there. They're so excited. They're so ready. Like, I try not to judge you all, and I know life is complicated, but like I can see who's gonna get somewhere just by like what time you show up to class. I'm not judging you, Gilles. I know you have a kid and stuff to do, but like some students are always here at 11:51. Like, they have already opened their Zoom and they're ready. It does tell me something. I'm not saying I'm judging it, but it's the same with the clients. When they get that excited that they're like in the waiting room early, or they're like texting you a half an hour before, like, do I have the time right? Is this it? Do I have the link? It's like, it's not that they don't know, they do. It's just that they're like, they want your attention right now. Like, let's do it. It doesn't bother me when they're doing that. I'm just like so happy that they're so attached to me and so into this whole thing. And that's why I'm never late. That's why I'm always ready, because I'm meeting that excitement like right where they give it to me. I want to be always matching that level of, hey, let's get this done right now, because I created it. So it's so important to create that motivation so that when they arrive, they're like putty, like it's like already easy to work with them. If I don't do that well, if I don't prepare them well, it's just harder on me, is the truth. Either I miss the sale, which sucks, or it's hard to work with them, which also sucks. So that's why this course right now and this call right now is like extremely valuable. Because if you do this effectively and motivate effectively on this call, then this is what happens. Oh, now this is all cleared. Motivation, motivation, motivation. Where do I pay? How much is it? Where do I pay? Some people don't even ask me the price anymore. They're just like, hey, where do I send the money? That's what they want to know. What do you do? How does it work? What's the price? I always do that at the end of the call. I don't do it at the beginning. And then we just loop back to the beginning. Wouldn't it be great if this went away? Wouldn't it be great if you were that person that I just told you about up here? Wouldn't that be nice if that were you? And they're like, yeah, that would be the best. Okay, here's my PayPal. Let's get it done. When are you free? So you just loop back to the original problem until this pipe is clear. So this is the same as level 2 education, which is listen, 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 clear leaves. Listen, 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 clear leaves. Listen, 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 clear leaves. Oh, open pipe, open gutter. And this is sold. Here's sold. By the way, the better you get at this, the more people start doing this work for you. Then you get a referral that has no objections. I just had one last week. She was like, I already got the warmest referral for you. I'm like, well, you have to come to the discovery call anyway. She comes and it was already this. It was just green all the way through. She was like, okay, cool. That sounds great. Yes, yes. Okay, sure. All right. See you Tuesday. $3,000, $2,800 on that one. Well, that's pretty cool. Another one of these is, oh, 3 weeks ago, the client gives you objection, objection, objection. At the end, they say, I'm not sure, I'll think about it, or I'm kind of busy right now, I don't know. Okay, fine. But then they leave and they do this work on their own. And then guess what happens? You get a booking without any word, and the money appears in your account. Why? Because when they went off to process that discovery call, which felt like this, they did this. That's why I don't chase them down either, because I don't want to raise another flag. I just want them to process. If it was right and if I did a good job, they're going to do this, and then they're going to book in and be like, hey, I booked in. I hope that's okay with you. And I'm always like, of course, my system is working perfectly. That's why you need all your infrastructure in place, by the way, because I don't want them to have to call me at that point and be like, hey, I have decided to book. Because why? That puts me back here. I don't want to be back here. I just want this. If your infrastructure runs correctly and is smooth all the way through, then clients can take over and do the work for you. And by the way, that's another reason having a clean back end really matters, because all those things should happen without you. Like I just sit here and like I see, oh, that person booked in. Oh, I got a payment. Like not everything is using my time and attention. It's all happening. And that's the whole reason why Melanie does take time and effort, because the whole day is like that. Wake up in the morning, publish something. Oh, somebody makes a payment. Oh, got to transfer it into your account. Oh, got to email that person back with the. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing of being in business. You want all of that to run without your input as much as possible so that you have this. The easiest way to do that is to use motivation so the client wants to do it on their own. And they want to change on their own too, by the way. That's the whole thing, right? It goes all the way through. Oop. So what I'm doing is listening to what the client needs and leveraging whatever they say as their own motivation. If they say, hey, I'm afraid of planes, but I really want to go on vacation with my husband, for the holidays, but I don't want to go on the airplane, then I just bring it back to that all the time. Well, what is it going to be like to go on that trip? How bad do you want it? I'm going to motivate them into wanting this outcome. So whatever their reason is, I write it down and then I feed it back to them in their welcome email. And then I let them process that and prepare for their session without my input. So here's what you're going to do on the strategy call. You're going to motivate using question cycles. You're going to uncover blocks just like you do in a regular call. And when you find those blocks, which you're going to identify because they are obviously unconscious moments, you're going to do one of three things. Hypnotic monologue, which is motivation. Maybe they're ready to hear your offer. Maybe you offer past client stories or experience. Those are your only options. I don't want you to do anything else on that discovery call. Either motivate them. So that means use level 2, use the categories, investigate the blocks, investigate the problems without untying them, just on the motivation level. Or tell them, okay, are you ready to pay? Are you ready to sign up? Or let me tell you something about that I've done before. You want through these 3 processes to make the client see you as the only way out. Like, I will say that at this point, I don't feel that people are booking me based on niche. They're just booking me based on reputation or like status or something like that. So they just see me as the hypnotist who can do it. You know what I mean? Like I have this kind of cornered part of the market now where it's like, well, she seems to be able to do it, go to her. But that's really just me, my character now. They see me as a way out of the problem. That's how I've gotten past the niche as the only entry point. That's what you're going towards. And where did I get that idea? Is from Erickson. Erickson didn't niche. Erickson didn't tell people, hey, it's this for that. It was just like, when you're in my presence, your problems go away. I'm not there yet, but that's the idea ultimately, because that's what takes you to a really high dollar one-to-one product and makes people want to study with you. So you want them to see you as the way out, you as the character or the personality. That's why having all of your story out there, I think, is important, even if that's not the selling tool. So how do you prepare for this is, who are your best clients? It seems so easy, like, oh, I'll think of that later, or I'll think of that when I'm on that call, but that's not a good strategy. The good strategy is right now, think about who are your best 3 clients, your best 3 results, and what happened, and what problem did they start with, and where did they end up? There's a few stories that I always tell because they're just like epic stories. Like I always tell the story of the guy who changed from red apples to green apples after he, came for his strategy call about his cat allergy. This is such a weird story. Guy comes, says, I have a cat allergy. Okay, cat allergy has nothing to do with why you're here, right? No, why I'm really here is because I'm a lead cellist at the Montreal Symphony, and I still have stage fright, even though I lead the whole section, and I'm still having nerves. Okay, so you're here for stage fright, not for allergies. Okay, then he comes and sits in the session, and he has advanced OCD, like very advanced, like flicking the lights, pants on and off, the whole 9 yards. Well, nobody said anything about that to me in the discovery call. So what do? Is I solve the OCD problem. Okay, of course, because I'm not going to be able to solve the stage fright problem until the OCD problem is gone, right? So then he comes for his second session. We solve the stage fright problem. Then at that point, he's like, "Well, this is fucking crazy magic. Like, what the hell are you doing?" And he sends me every human being he knows in the world. And I have like a few very busy months just based on that one thing. But the point of the story is at the end of the whole thing, he's like, I need a whole new wardrobe. I'm a whole new person. Like, none of my clothes look right on me anymore. And also, I don't like the same foods anymore. For example, I used to like red apples, but now I like green apples. And he's like, well, what's going on here? It was just such a weird story of one thing led to another. And in the end, the whole of his life changed. So I tell stories like that all the time because they're so weird and they're so interesting and they're so hypnotic. And I always share the same ones because I have practiced them. So think about those stories that have happened in your practice that blew your own mind, that tell your story and what's possible, and get good at telling that story over and over. You do have to practice that. Your other homework is to practice what do you know about the mind and how can you tell it in a few words without over talking, without being boring, without losing interest. So that's another thing I teach in my course, which is like, how do I describe the mind in like 8 minutes or less?
Hmm.
And I don't want you to copy it from me because that's not the point. The point is like, you know that that's your expertise as much as it is mine. So think about how that's going to go. Then, once you have this homework done, you're ready for this. You're ready for this thing here. I'm ready to tell you my stories. I'm ready to give you education. I'm ready to share my experience with you. This is a skill to practice. Forget all your session skills. Practice these because these are money skills, cash skills. Like at the end of the day, I gotta tell you, like I love the business aspect of this just as much as I love the problem solving aspect because it's so cool and weird. You set up a business from home, doing problem solving on Zoom, and next thing you know, people are sending you thousands of dollars based on how well you can do these two things. Just listen to what I just said. That's huge. Based on how well you can do these two things and how convincing and casual and motivational it is, this is important right here. Based on how much you can do this, be a human on this call, listen clearly without judgment, extend unconscious moments. Based on how much you can do that and how well you've practiced and rehearsed these two, that will determine how much money you make every month. So these are not small details. These are like major things to think about when you're meditating, when you're exercising, when you're in the shower, when you're doing your meditation. Like fantasize through this and how to make it sound so nonchalant. Like it doesn't work if it comes out of a formula. Like, oh, let me check my Rolodex and tell you about a past client who sounds exactly like you. That won't work. It has to be that motivational tone, the same tone you used in level 2. The casual, laid back. Oh yeah, that reminds me of, let me tell you about something. So what we worked on yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, was that MOS worksheet. That MOS worksheet combines your niche, your price, your message for the market. I mean, prepares you to create. So I want you to now reuse that same worksheet to finish this Q&A. If you've already got your product, you don't need to do this, but this is how you develop it. Who is the niche? Say specifically, and by the way, this isn't specific enough. What is their situation? This is for my niche, my previous niche. What is their desired situation? So what is their current situation? They're recently out of a narcissistic abusive situation, or they're addicted to alcohol or whatever it is. Tell me their current situation and what is their desired situation. Say it in like 5 words or less. Based on your economics, which I teach you in the incubator, don't just guess at this. This takes a formula. What is your price? If you don't know your price, it's $1,500 because if you go less, it won't be worth it. So if you're not sure, start there. And then now is a tricky part. Remember how I said at the beginning of today, time is the big question mark? Does it take you 1 visit? Does it take 5? Does it take 3? We don't know. That's the whole question that you're facing right now is how do I package this within a certain time frame? So over deliver rather than under deliver. That's your claim to fame right now. Since you don't know how long your breakthroughs take at the start, you want to over deliver and say it's going to be more time rather than less time. Because then when it's quicker, they're like, wow, that was cool. It was faster than I thought. So I suggest giving the most amount of time you think it'll need. I don't care if you start at 6. I don't care if you start at 4. Whatever you're comfortable with that will definitely give you results is correct. Okay, if it's 10 or 12, then you should DM me and we'll talk about that. But if you're sure it's going to be 30 days, start there. If you're sure it's going to be 3 visits, start there. If you're sure it's going to be, whatever, start there. And just take it down as you practice. So start with 30 days, then go 21, 14, 7, 2 hours. Now when people say, well, how long does it take on average? I say like 2 to 4 hours. So the MOS solution can take time. That's okay. I'm not worried about it. Just let it happen. But what's important is that you flow cash during this experiment. So based on this consideration of over delivering, what is the minimum possible work you could do to help the clients go from their current situation to their desired situation that you are confident you can deliver on time? That's where you're going to start. So many options, 30 days, 2 months, a week, 6 months, an hour, whatever it is for you, write it down. And then we're going to put the whole thing together, and this will be the offer you present on the discovery call. I help women who are finally out of narcissistic relationships learn how to trust again in 30 days or less. I can deliver on that. I know I can do it now in 2 hours, but I'm not going to put that on the poster yet because it doesn't apply to everybody across the board. I think my poster right now says in 2 sessions or less. That's my statement, and I can definitely deliver that. Here's the cost. Here's how I get you to buy it. I say my price out loud 100 times a day. I don't do it anymore because I'm bored of it and I've raised my price. But at the beginning, you got to say your price all the time. Practice it so that when the person says, what's the offer? You just say it without skipping a beat, without being shy, without attenuating your voice. You just say it's $1,500. And then what do you say after you give the price? Yeah, exactly, Jody. You just sit there,
Nothing.
say nothing, wait, listen, see what happens. So the idea here of the strategy call, most importantly, is to use this approach with this concept in the background, which is underwritten by this. So if you don't know what to say on a strategy call, go back to your original principles of curiosity, unconscious moments, and then start to apply motivational questioning instead of untying knots, which was the only thing you knew how to do before. So now you have a whole language and approach to the discovery call that you didn't have before we had this little lesson.